I'm Jamie Raley, President of Maryland Farm Bureau. I'd like to invite you to our annual convention held in Cambridge, Maryland this year. This is the state's largest gathering of agricultural leaders, and it's your chance to be at the forefront of farming. You'll gain insights from expert-led seminars, build powerful connections through networking, discuss important agricultural policy, and join us in celebrating Maryland's extraordinary farmers. It's 4 full days to connect, learn, and grow your operation. Join us Saturday, December 6th to Tuesday, December 9th. Register today at marylandfb.org.
This is Old Line Farmer Radio, a Maryland Farm Bureau production, helping you achieve your best farm future.
What's up, Old Line Farmer Radio? My name is Kendall Abruzzese, and today I have a really special guest here with us today. Dave, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kendall. I'm Dave Rectenwald. I am a financial planner with Vinores Financial Services. We're an independent financial planning agency located in Thurmont, Maryland, so not far from Frederick. I myself am a wealth management specialist, so I have some background in the financial industry that I started in the industry back in 2009. Have some investment licenses that are going to help me as far as planning with clients to make sure that we're able to get everything in place overall for them.
Yeah, awesome. And why, what are we doing here today? Where are we? Can you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to share some information on the Land is Your Legacy program. Mm-hmm. So it's a program that Nationwide offers to be able to help farms transition over to future generations. That oftentimes we see that it's very difficult to plan and get a plan in place. So what this program does is offers farmers to help with succession planning to make sure that they know who's in the right role, that they have the right plan in place and who's going to take over, and just prepare for that financially overall.
Yeah, and so I think one of the things that our members may get confused on, and we touched a little bit earlier, you said you were an independent with an independent organization. Can you kind of share a little bit on your relationship with Nationwide and how it is that you're promoting their program?
Yeah, absolutely. So Nationwide is obviously an insurer. They're the #1 farm insurer in America right now. So as far as me being independent, I work with the Nationwide team. So I am able to use my resources that we have a number of different ways that we can plan and who we would want to use as far as planning. We work with the Nationwide team because they have this exclusive program to be able to help farms transition and successfully have those succession plans set up for them.
And this Land is Your Legacy program, it is specific for farmers, right?
Yes. So it is designed as unique for farmers to be able to help make sure we don't want farms to be turning into the next Walmart or Jimmy John's or anything like that. We want to make sure that farms are able to transition into future generations. So this absolutely is unique to farmers.
And so going back and touching a little bit on Nationwide, I think a lot of the times we do hear that they're the #1 farm insurer in the country, and they have a long-standing history with Maryland Farm Bureau. Can you touch on any of that history and how Nationwide kind of came to really support farmers?
Yeah, absolutely. So Nationwide got started as a group of individuals, a group of farmers that wanted to help make sure that automobile insurance remained affordable. So that's originally the way that it was started. And as they grew over time, they changed their name to Nationwide. And then, over the years in 2011, that's when they developed this Land is Your Legacy program. Because they have, their board of directors, 9 out of 16 of their board members right now are active farmers.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, so they understand exactly what that farming community needs, and they develop products to be able to help in that farming community to make sure that things are affordable for them. So it's very much understood the need of that community from Nationwide's perspective.
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear. I think that's something that we don't really touch on a lot of the times, and I think our members would really, really enjoy the emphasis on that. So when we're talking about transition planning and we're talking about farming and all of the things, I think there is kind of a challenge there, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Where do you think that challenge and that issue comes from when you're talking about transition planning?
Yeah, there's a few hurdles that we very commonly see as we go through planning. Oftentimes, it's an emotional thing. That whenever you sit down, that a lot of families have the right mindset that they want to plan, but it's a hurdle to get over emotionally that we all get busy. So it's just easy to put it off that, during the growing season, you've got a lot that you're doing. So we're just going to wait until the end of that season and then we'll tackle it. And it gets kind of put on the back of the table there and never remembered again. So it's in the back of your mind, but you never make the time to actually follow through with it. So I would say that's one of the biggest hurdles that we see. Second is a financial hurdle, that a lot of times there's a lot of costs associated with having that plan in place, that it's lengthy as far as the planning process overall, and you're using a lot of specialized professionals to be able to help develop a plan. So you've got attorneys, CPAs, financial professionals that all typically have their costs. And so those are some of the hurdles that having those financial resources to make sure that you're able to get the right plan in place can be tough. So that's where this plan that nationwide covers those costs to help develop a plan for you. And you then use your trusted financial professionals that may have a cost within there, but it helps to lower what that burden is financially for you.
Yeah, so one of the big benefits then from the Land as Your Legacy program is it does take some of that burden off, whether it's financially, emotionally. I think having somebody just there to walk you through it is probably very helpful. It's something you hear, I'm sure, a lot.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things, is kind of having your hand held throughout this process, that there's a lot of questions that we ask during that planning process that you don't really think of all that often, that really can be emotional, deep thoughts that you may have as far as who do you want to take over the farm? Are they ready? Are you ready to hand the reins over to that person?
Right.
So not everybody's ready to be there. It's nice to have somebody kind of acting as that quarterback and holding your hand through that process.
Yeah, I can imagine going through some of those emotional conversations with my family right now. I'm sure that our other members feel the same as well. I think touching on that emotional factor, where do you think the biggest challenges are in there, and what do you see as kind of the specific help that having that third party can provide?
Yeah, so like I said, it's holding your hand through that process, that as we work through what your wishes are, every farm is unique. So we want to make sure that the way that your farm currently operates and what your wishes are really get to shine through this planning process. So it's making sure that we're asking the right questions and holding your hand through that process to make sure that the farm can continue according to that farmer's wishes.
Right. And I don't mean to put you on the spot here, and we can move on, but do you have any examples that kind of really stick out to you when we're talking about transition planning and the whys and the challenges and everything involved?
Yeah, so I mean, I can think of, and to kind of be general, that I know that we've worked with farmers that have not gone through the planning process, where they may have been actively part of a farm that their parents owned, bought into buildings and put their own money into that, even though they didn't actually have that ownership. When the parents passed away, they now had to repurchase that farm or their portion of that farm from their siblings. It disrupts that family harmony.
Right.
It creates squabbling between siblings. So it's not only that, but then the financial burden of you're purchasing that same piece twice.
Yeah.
We see that, unfortunately, that's not a one-off scenario. That we've seen that quite a few times, whether it's just a few siblings or multiple siblings, where you're putting, somebody puts money into a farm and then you have to repurchase that portion, your portion, or overall back from the farm. So those are some of the specific scenarios that we have seen as we go through that planning process.
So, yes, what if there's a will?
Yeah, so whenever we take a look at typically what we would see before any planning is done. So most commonly we see what I would refer to as an I love you will, where things would transfer from husband or wife to each other. We want to make sure that ownership maintains within there. And then commonly they pass things on to their children. So all too often we have one of the children or a few of the children, but not all of the children are active in that farm. So that's typically what we would see as kind of the simplest form of planning that somebody's done. Doesn't cover all bases though. So whenever we have that ownership goes to one of the parents, when somebody passes away, they then have that ownership, and maybe the children that are ready to start that farming and take over the reins, they still have that obligation to have operating income or financial needs from the farm that the parent has, they have to pay out to them. So it can create a burden within there, but commonly that's what we come across with a will, is that something's in place, but it's not that full level of planning.
Okay. Very complicated. I'm glad that Nationwide and you guys are here to kind of walk people through this and understand, because a lot of the times, you're right, like our farmers, they're on the farm, they're busy, they're working.
Yep.
They may get to it next week, but then next week gets busy. And it's so funny because you asked me earlier, well, are things going to slow down? Probably not, but we're going to say that they are.
They will later, right?
Yeah, later. And then I'll do that transition plan later.
Yes.
So when we're looking at kind of everything all together, what are the first steps for a member to kind of get involved?
Great question. So we want to understand, number one step is, what is the farm? What are your goals? How do things function within that? And make sure that your goals and wishes are able to be taken care of. So we understand what that farm is. Second, we take a look at how it operates. What's the business structure of it? And are there any changes that need to be made to make sure that those two things, the goals of the farm and how it currently operates, need to work? We then take everything back, analyze it, work with the Land is Your Legacy team to be able to make any recommendations to you to follow through with implementation.
Awesome. So it really does take that initial burden and hardships kind of out of the hands of our members.
Absolutely. So I would say getting over those hurdles at first is going to be one of the biggest things. But what I would say ultimately comes to the table with the Land is Your Legacy program is making sure that farms stay farms and we have that family harmony continues, that we don't have any rifts within the family. So
I love that. I think that's what most of our members care about as well. But I know we're running out of time here today. Any final thoughts that we can share before we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that anybody that is able to, wants to get more information and is able to reach out, feel free. We're happy to sit down, go through this. I know that they can reach out to Nationwide in order to find an advisor close to them. As mentioned, I'm in the Thurmont area near Frederick, so feel free to reach out to me, and we're happy to help from there.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much, members, for listening. If you want to catch out some information from Dave, we'll have his link on the screen below, or feel free to reach out to Nationwide or Maryland Farm Bureau directly. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today, and we're really happy to hear more about transition planning in the future.
Thank you.